What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Erasure. And I decided I wanted to come back and finish the chorus album. I think the last Erasure reaction I did was from the chorus album, and generally I like to kind of jump from album to album, and so that I'm kind of progressing through them all. And I mentioned it before in relation to Duran, and one or two other groups that I've been reacting to, but like, when I do that, it's almost like I'm getting this like simultaneous understanding of the evolution of their sound, because I'm hearing their early stuff, I'm hearing their, let's say middle phase stuff, their more recent stuff, and so on. So yeah, obviously it's nice that I haven't had to wait to hear a group's material over 40 years, because some of these groups I didn't really know, at least in detail, and now I can kind of, not rush through the albums, but I can go through the albums, multiple albums at the same time, and it's like I'm getting this kind of crash course, like primer, in the history and sort of sonic legacy of a group, so it's been very enjoyable. Like I said, I have enjoyed jumping around, but I enjoyed the penultimate song, Perfect Stranger, so much that I felt like, you know what, when I got to the end of that, I noticed that the final tune is called Home. So given how much I enjoyed Perfect Stranger, and given how much I enjoy the idea of ending an album with a tune called Home, which I suppose could be, leaving from or coming toward. For some reason I have a sense that maybe it's coming toward, returning to, perhaps, home, but yeah, we'll have to see. But I did want to come back and finish this album off, at least the proper album. Now, I mentioned I have a deluxe edition, which has an awesome booklet on the inside, which has, some great sort of history on the group, as well as some cool pictures. But yeah, bottom line, this release also has a CD 2, which is B-sides, rarities, and remixes, as well as a third CD, which is chorus live performances of the songs. So we're going to go through all that, but we are now finishing the final song on the normal, like, studio album, and it is Home. So yeah, it's a very simple concept, a place where one can call one's own, whether or not that relates to actual ownership. It's a place where one is welcome, at least, by yourself or among yourself, if not among other people. And obviously a home is different than a house per se. A house is the physical sort of dwelling, whereas a home is what the house becomes, or the apartment or condominium, whatever, or bungalow. But a home is what a house becomes once it is lived in, inhabited, and reflective of the sort of day-to-day behaviors, personalities, interests, and sort of aesthetics of the person or persons living there. Now, home in another conceptual sense relates to a touchstone, a place of familiarity, a place that one can return to if one feels battered or unsafe or hurt or damaged. Home can be a source of support and love and embrace among friends and family, though it is not always. And, given the song Hideaway and maybe one or two others, one can maybe think that, Andy's, like, literal home perhaps wasn't always, the most welcoming and embracing and so on. Yeah, I think I don't know enough of the full details there to get a true sense of, what that might, how that might play out, if that is indeed the sort of the context in which the term is expressed. But yeah, again, home is a concept that can be used in a number of different sort of metaphors or ideas, so we'll have to see how it comes into play. But I am curious, like I said, about the idea conceptually of ending a tune with a track called, or ending an album, sorry, with a tune called Home. So let's see what it sounds like. This is Erasure, Home, the final tune on their 1991 album Chorus. Percussive rhythms already.
I'm having a good time. I ain't never going home, 'cause my time
applaud you, maybe. Maybe that's what he's driving at.
I never turn back.
I love the transition here. The beginning felt less like a typical Erasure tune. This feels more what I expect.
Within my tracks, I will follow the North Star. I'll wait till the springtime is breathing at my door. The wilderness before me heeds the lion's roar. White circles play within my mind.
White circle.
This is all that freezes life. Time will come, time will come, time will fall, bringing the world to its feet, bringing the world to her hands and her knees.
I like the use of her. That main kind of deep bass melody, if you will, has a funny sort of sonic articulation, like almost like nasally.
Is lying at my door. Time stretches out before me. The stars throw from the door. White circles play within my mind. Ice is all that freezes life. Time will come, time will come, time will fall.
That bass hole, it's like thunder. Very high melodic chimes. I love ending the album with that. Very dramatic. Yeah, it's interesting. Partially because I was sort of really keying in on the sonics. I didn't quite pick up on as much of the lines as I do in some other Erasure songs, so got to give it some more listens. But I am curious by the different iterations of the bringing the world to its feet, bringing the world to her feet and her hands. There's a couple different versions of what was happening in the chorus, and I'm sort of, even metaphorically, I'm still not quite sure where to take that. So, do let me know if you got an angle on that. I'll give it some more listens. I'll give it some more thought. A top album, an ace album. I do understand why Han Solo said, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that this is his favorite Erasure album. Absolutely brilliant, and what I really came to understand is, right out of the gate, Han Solo had told me when I bought this album that, it has more of a 90s electronic sound. It's, kind of like Erasure stepping into the 90s and sort of that style of electronic production. And I noticed that very early on, and I think it continued to be expressed. But as we got through like the back half of the album, what I was increasingly thinking is like, it is that, but it is very much like that in Erasure's like style or mode that they established in the 80s, which again, I know that's what Han Solo was saying, but I was thinking more of like, oh, this is more modern sounding Erasure. It's true, but as the album went on, I was increasingly thinking like, it's Erasure with more modern and say like electric production, but it's still what they did so well in the 80s. It's still that Erasure style. I was like feeling more of the balance between the two as we got toward the end of the album, whereas at the beginning it was like, wow, this really does sound like, there's like some 303 work, and there's some like real kind of like more energetic and pacey kind of 4/4 tunes. It's funny how that feeling was heavier at the beginning, and as we went along, it was still there, but it sort of came back into but this is exactly kind of what I would expect from Erasure, like, if they were to take their sound and their style into a slightly different idiom. So once again, shout out to this album, shout out to Vince, shout out to Andy, big ups to Han Solo, and everyone like Seb, all sorts of people who have commented on the different Erasure reactions. That's another Erasure album in the bag, but as I said, we got 2 more discs on this album full of material, so plenty more to go through. Do let me know what you think of the song. I will see you next time. Peace.